Hello, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is Christabel, the original Power Ranger princess. I'm so excited to be sitting down and finally making a video. I'm going to try and keep this one under 10 minutes. I I partly think that the reason my videos end up getting so long is because I have so much that I want to say like each and every day. And when I do actually sit down and make a video, it's usually like there's some time that's passed and I just have all these things that I want to spew out like word vomit. But I'm going to try and keep this one short. So I had an interesting conversation that actually really kind of changed the way that I see trans attracted men. And it helped me sort of understand um, why they move the way they move. Now, there's this misconception. A lot of people believe that, as a trans woman, you automatically understand men because, come on, you have a penis, they have a penis, so you must understand each other. I can tell you this now, at least for me, when I transitioned and I took off those, and I took those hormones, I essentially divorced myself from any type of male thinking. And most trans women, especially in the early stages, and this is often driven by dysphoria, mentally they'll disassociate from any of the social norms, ideologies that were taught to them whilst they were living as men. And the further they are in their transition, the further they don't understand you, dude. We're still from Venus. We are literally still from Venus. Now, this guy that I was talking to, we're gonna call him Jeff. Jeff, he's an older white dude. He's been trying to get in my pants since the previous decade. And he's always just been like a little bit weird for me. And part of the reason I had an issue with him is that he always led with, like spicy time. He would always talk about like my dick, his ass. It would always be like, how big is your dick? How long do you last in intercourse? Can you, do this, that, and the other? And it would just frustrate me. I'd be like, do you have nothing else to talk to me about? Now, it wouldn't only be Jeff. It would be basically everyone. Every guy that would find out that I was a top. It would almost be like they wanted to only talk to me about that, and I hated it. And then as I was talking to Jeff, he sort of explained something to me that I'd never really considered. Now, as a trans woman, especially one who lives in Thailand, I can have spicy time with anyone. I can find a bottom in the next 20 minutes if I wanted to. So finding someone to do things with me, it's never like been an issue. It's never like, I don't know, like it's never been an issue. I've always been really lucky when it's come to attracting people. My issue has always been attracting like quality people that would see me more as just a fetish. And I would in turn, because I was so like annoyed with how guys would come at me, girl, I would just reject. And when I was talking to Jeff, he sort of explained something that I'd never really thought about. So here's this man who's been dating trans women for about 20 years, the better part of 20 years. and has never been successful with them. Now, he would talk about how, and this is what he would do, how he would, meet a girl living in the Philippines, living in Thailand, living wherever, and they start to talk, and he, would book a holiday, only holiday he would have that year, and, purchase a flight, go down to wherever this girl is from, to spend, that holiday. And as soon as he would get there, upon meeting her, find out that no, in fact, she was not a top or could not top. The funny thing he sort of said, he sort of said, like, a lot of girls that say that they're versatile are not actually tops, and will say that as a way to sort of like win a guy over that they actually like. And I laughed when he said this because I've worked in NGO with trans girls, and I can tell you, anyone who says their verse is a top, no, not a top, sorry, is a bottom, is a bottom who, because I'm a top, I think everyone's a top, but is a bottom who is just trying to win somebody over. So I could definitely sort of see that. But then when he explained how much effort and time and money goes into meeting this one person, and when you realize that, the intimacy is just not there, the chemistry is not there, it is not, I don't know, it's the Lego's not clicking the way you'd hope the Lego would click. There's a huge disappointment not only for the guy, but devastation for the girl. And I can tell you this, as a trans woman, I've had men fly down to South Africa to see me, and when it didn't work in terms of chemistry or whatever, it was crushing. You feel like, oh God, like, what? So it's crushing for both of y'all. And for me, usually what would happen if I would meet a guy and we wouldn't click in terms of intimacy right at the beginning, he would then pull away, like, emotionally or whatever. And for me, obviously, I pull away and I have my walls up. So nothing would happen there. And as he was explaining all of this, it dawned on me that the reason that these guys lead so hard with, basically, the reason they talk so much about intimacy, the reason they talk so much about intercourse, the reason they talk so much about, like, what you can do or what you can't do, is because I think for most people that do date trans women are so rare, so rare. And it's interesting in that within trans dating, because you have I'm gonna get graphic now, but you have the partnership between a top and a bottom, or you'll have a partnership between two verse people. And there are a lot of guys that don't like topping, and often specifically date trans women so that they can sort of experience intimacy in that way with someone. Now, I think when you first hear that as a trans woman, it's kind of like, dude, you can fuck right off all the way to Mars if you just want to use me for intimacy. But realistically, when you think about that, if we were to switch it and look at and I'm going to use the word cisgender, but a cisgender heterosexual couple where it is a biological man and a biological woman, there is no question as to how they are going to be intimate. Anyone who knows the birds and the bees understands that, when it is sort of like already decided and you already both know how the Lego works, and you're both comfortable with how those Lego pieces work together. Guys in those situations often then, because they don't feel so pressured to make sure that the spicy time part works, that's when those guys tend to like ease up sometimes. I mean, let's not play around. A lot of them will still lead with trying to find out what you can do or what you will do. But for trans attracted men, they don't know. They don't know. And they can't necessarily be sure. There are so many trans attracted men that have talked to so many trans attracted women who often face, like the disappointment of finding out that the girl that they've been fantasizing about is not the actual fantasy that they thought. So what do? They come to the kingdom of Siam and run through as many ladyboys as they can in the hopes of finding someone who is a match, whose Lego piece matches with their Lego piece. But in the attempt of going through all of these women, usually what happens is that there is almost like this unaliving of the soul, like you lose bits and pieces of you because you get so caught up in rampant, frivolent, frequent, spicy time intercourse with so many different, women in this country who will charge you, will ask you to pay to play. Now, what happens in that dynamic, when a guy comes to this country, he's paid, he has this holiday for like 2 months, a month, it's the only holiday he's going to have. He may have initially come down here to find love, but what he will end up doing is that they just turn into little boys at a candy store and run through as many different trans women as they can. And it's funny because the result that has on trans women is that it makes us believe that all trans attracted men are named John. And the only thing you can get from them is money. Essentially, when guys come, especially to Thailand, the Philippines, any of these countries, with the sole purpose of just, getting as many trans girls as they can, or testing as many trans girls out as they can to find the perfect one that fits in their tight little booty hole, what happens is that they automatically disconnect in terms of their spirit, their soul with these women, and best believe these women also disconnect with them. And it becomes a financial transaction. It becomes a financial transaction that kind of hurts everybody involved. And I'll explain it this way. The transgender girls that are not working, the transgender girls that are not involved in spicy time, the transgender girls that actually come to Thailand to teach English, ESL and or science, the transgender girls that come to the Kingdom of Siam because they were trying to learn about Buddhism and interact with Thai culture. That is all like, I don't know, like it's compromised because what happens, and I can speak for myself now, not for any of the guys. Listen, this dress, literally, this is not that type of video dress. But I can speak for myself, and for me personally, every time I would go on Thai Friendly, mytransgenderdate.com, Tinder, Bumble, OkCupid, Grindr, or as South Africans like to say, grinda. Every time I would get on, it would be like, there is nothing but people looking for escorts here, assuming that I'm an escort, and asking me the worst questions and trying to get a discount on me because, obviously I'm Black African. And I'm just sat there on the other side of the screen, kind of like the unmitigated gall. I'll just watch some spicy video and play with myself and not even bother. It really disconnects us. I think whenever you're trying to meet someone, yeah, it is important to make sure that, the Lego pieces work. But when a trans girl tells you that she's a bottom, that's all she is. There's no like trying to convince her she's a bottom. There's no we'll get to know each other in the relationship and then over time she's a bottom. She's a bottom because of her own personal reasons. It might be the dysphoria. It most likely is the hormones that she is on. It may be that she is unable and she has no desire to top your hairy booty hole, and she wants to be treated like a princess. She doesn't want to treat you like a princess. She's a bottom. Then there are the girls that are like me, who, for me personally, I am super, super feminine, and outwardly I probably behave and act like a bottom, but that's outwardly. What happens behind closed doors is that I break people's backs in a very aggressive but fun and loving manner and nurse them back to health. And I've never ever been embarrassed about like my sexual position. It's something that I've always celebrated and have always loved about myself, but it is not something that I lead with when I'm meeting somebody for the first time. I mean, heck, when I meet somebody for the first time, I'm usually bragging about my nails or trying to find out about their star sign or just trying to get to know them in the hopes that, as we get to know each other and we become more comfortable with each other, and you lessen your defenses, I'll be able to lure you into my bedroom and you can be the prey that you deserve to be. But I'm not doing that with a random person who's just texted me. For me personally, I'm texting, anyone who texts me has never spoken to me a day in my life. Words are communication. So, I'm making this video to sort of stress that trans women are not a monolith. A lot of us are different. Many of us are in spicy time work. Some were forced into it and it is quite sad. Others are living their best lives. Some of us are teachers trying to navigate our way in a foreign country. Some of us are accountants. Some of us are involved in activism. Others are YouTubers. Like, we're all diverse. We're all diverse in the same way that all men are diverse. When I speak to guys often, the one thing I often tell them is like, you say you want a girlfriend and you say you want like a top that you're gonna date. Every guy says that. Every guy says that, or every guy texts that. So it's kind of like, for me, hearing it, it always just feels like the same nonsense I hear every day. So I think in making this video, and it's been much longer than what I'd hoped. It was supposed to be 10 minutes. Girl, I'm pushing 20. In making this video, what I'd like to stress is that when you're trying to meet somebody, I think it's important to try and get to know them that person. When you lead with intimacy, when you lead, and I'm talking about intercourse, coitus, the nasty. I'm talking about that. If you're leading with the nasty, if you're on the other end of like the phone or the screen and you're sounding like Ariel, who's in a body of water but is as thirsty as all fucking hell, the person on land or the person that you're trying to get is going to be possibly grossed out, or will use that as an opportunity to try and leverage some kind of financial gain from you. So, yeah. And I would say, like, and that's just my advice to the guys, but my advice to trans women, and maybe I need to also take this advice as well. When a guy is talking to you and the first thing he leads with is, coitus, the nasty intercourse, all of that, you can answer, like, it's, don't ever be too thirsty, girl, because we're not trying to be Ariel. Instead of just, like yelling and swearing and immediately getting defensive or immediately being re-triggered and feeling like this person is comparing you to, the hoe snore of Babylon, sometimes, simply being like, oh yeah, this is my sexual position, and this is, what I'm comfortable doing, but we can find that stuff out later. We can find that stuff out after you've taken me out on many, many dates. We can find that stuff out after you've gotten to know me. When it comes to dating, when it does come to intercourse, fetishization does happen. Like, we all, to some degree, look at another person with those eyes of, like, wild, like, that wild kind of like burning inside of you with no inhibitions. I'm about to rip your skin off. Lust. We all get through those. We all have those moments. But it is important to recognize and acknowledge that there is a whole nother person besides or over and above what they can do to you sexually. I'm trying not to say that word. Woo! I really am trying not to say that word. Like, when I make these videos, I just talk. And, like, I always start them with, oh, it's only going to be 10 minutes, and then it's 23. And then I'm like, I'm not going to say certain words. And then I sang the words. Anyways, thank you for watching. There's so much more I wanted to talk about specifically on this topic. Ciao. Hey, I have a story time for y'all about who, but I'll upload this story time after this. I need to eat, y'all, and I need to change this outfit because it's literally falling off me, and I'm not trying to be flashing nobody. But before I go, thank you to everyone who subscribed. Thank you to everyone who likes, comments, and just especially the people who have found me on Instagram and, like, have called me and just tried to get to know me, and y'all are sweet. And to anyone that, like I have on Facebook or anything like that, bruv, don't be weird. I can get very, very, I can be a smart ass. If you're ever gonna, hit me up on any social media, be a normal person. Because I'm the daughter of a traditional healer, of a witch doctor, and my third eye is so open I can see through anything. Yes, I can. Anyways, I'm gonna go and eat something and then I'm gonna like shoot the story time because y'all need to hear what this. Y'all need to hear about this crazy boy who bought me a flight to Krabi and I refused to go. And he just wasted that shmoney. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all just a little bit later. I need to eat. Bye.